Let's talk a little bit more about the nervous system. We can consider this a part two to conversation on the nervous system. Or if you haven't watched the part one video, don't worry about it. Watch this one first because you're here. Then go back and watch the other one if that feels like a right step for you. Continuing to talk about the nervous system, this topic that I'm really fired up about right now because because that why is what we really get to talk about today. That why, starting with my own experience, which I talk more about in that other video, but for now, speaking words to finding myself in a space where things weren't unfolding in life the way I'd been told they were supposed to. Growing up, moving through college, moving through science and engineering degrees, being taught that the way the world works is we have these magnificent human minds. We have these brilliant human minds. And if only we can be smart enough, and if only we can work hard enough. And now these days, mindfulness meditation, and we have these different philosophies that have come in and even added to this space that is, oh, if only we can focus our attention enough, and only if we can be so focused that we push away all that doesn't directly support what we want to be focused on, and all the while living up in this headspace, being really gung-ho about this space. I did very well in this space for a very long time until I started experiencing some signals from my body, some anxiety that kept building and building, and calling upon all the tools that I had become very skilled at to work in this space, and learning, experiencing the problems just getting worse and worse and building and building and building. And what I see now as I walk through life with the experience I've learned these last several years through yoga teacher trainings and yoga therapy trainings and trauma trainings and all these different trainings, and now entering into a space where I can look out on the world with a new perspective. What I keep seeing is, I'm sure it's not everyone, but it sure feels like everyone these days, being anxious, if not all the time, most of the time, being being so caught up in all the chaos of the world. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm pretty sure you have, but the world is seriously chaotic. And when we look to news outlets and social media and all of that, they know that us being caught up in that is profitable. So so they milk it out of us, just makes it worse, right? Keeps our experience of this world caught up in this chaos, and all of it lands on our bodies, on our nervous systems, as so much, as too much. Our human bodies, as beautifully as they were designed at a very different time than the modern world. And what happens when we're not able to be in sync, to be in tune with what our bodies are expressing through all the different ways that they communicate, is that We continue to get caught up in the way of the world. The social media feeds, the news outlets, all the scary, chaotic stories. And our nervous systems here keep getting more and more and more and more charged. They're holding more and more and more and more. And it's far past too much for most, again, if not all of us modern human beings. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? Well, one, we can learn. We can learn about our nervous systems. I once upon a time was the person to produce all the technical videos where I'd walk you through every single mechanism and pathway. So at this point, we might be going through polyvagal theory and talking about all the different technical pathways in your body. Go watch a Huberman podcast or whatever is hot right now on the technical pathways right now. For me, what you're going to get in this space is experiential. With that, an invitation to drop in, out of your head for a moment, to feel your feet on the floor. Feel your feet on the floor, your seat in the chair, whatever's applicable for you there. To find your breath, down in your body, to find your breath as that physical motion, that mechanical wave-like motion, the rising and falling of your chest, the rising, the falling of your abdomen. You're going to be here for another moment. And from this space, checking in, taking your temperature. What's alive? What's alive for you? What sensations are alive in your body? It's the very beginnings of what I've found to be the most powerful thing we could be doing in our modern world. A world that, again, is constantly trying so hard to take our attention elsewhere, anywhere but here in our own bodies and our own felt experience of the world. I remember as a kid I distinctly remember learning how I needed to disconnect from my feelings. I remember distinctly being taught that feeling my feelings made me weak, and that, again, this power of the human mind, there's just so much important work to do in the world, isn't there? There's so much important work. And I was so good at learning how to do this work. I was so good at doing this work. And all the while, I was so good at disconnecting from my felt experience in the world. Was so good at doing the hard, important work that I was supposed to be doing in the world. And it took me down hard. And I talk more about that in what we'll call part 1, that other video. I talk about it elsewhere. Not going to share more words about that today. In the process of building myself back up, I don't know if that's the best words to describe the process, but we'll go with it for now. The process of building myself back up, learning how much bullshit there was, right? It was complete bullshit that they taught us to disconnect from our feelings. Our feelings are powerful. Our felt experience in the world It's everything. It's everything. How we're feeling from moment to moment is everything. Now, is it the most skillful thing in the world to be in a constant state where we're swept away by our feelings? Of course not. Of course not. So, how do we walk through life being in a state where we can be in tune with how we're feeling when we're in a conversation with someone? How can we be in tune with our felt experience and be able to take in that information into the equation, receive that information in a way so that we can make the most skillful decisions? Decisions like saying no, decisions like saying yes, decisions like I need to walk away from you, or oh, I just want to give you a big hug. That kind of powerful discernment, decision making doesn't happen as we live life fully up in our heads. Our heads, as beautiful, beautiful as the human mind might be, it is only one small piece of the human experience. So, how can we be in connection with our bodies? Be in tune with our nervous systems. So, in that last video, I spoke to the nervous system in much more depth about my own journey of nervous system healing, putting only enough words to it as I can in a short YouTube video. Checking in here, the nervous system. It's, as someone who spent years studying neuroscience, I always thought I was going to be a neuroscientist, guys. That was my trajectory, a neuroscience PhD, where I could call upon the power of the human mind to study the power of the human mind and just be completely immersed in the goodness, the brilliance that is the human mind. What happened is my nervous system started speaking up like, hey, guess what? The brain connects down, 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 out to all parts of myself. The mind isn't really just up here. It drops down into our bodies. From there, it rules everything. Everything. And if it's programmed in a way where it's prepared to speak loudly enough, it doesn't matter what we're going to do. It doesn't matter what we want to do. It doesn't matter what we think we're going to do up in our heads. Our nervous systems are going to take over. They might shut us down. They might completely shut us down. No, not going to be in that situation. And that can be so frustrating because there's so many of us that want to do awesome, brilliant, beautiful things in life. This is something I experienced for so many years, was being so lit up by, yes, I want to go on that trip to climb that mountain. I want to be a writer and put words out into the world, and getting all excited and then getting shut down. My nervous system wasn't having it. Or, there's so many different ways our nervous system can take us. There's, the classic fight, flight, freeze, flee. So we can simplify it in those sort of standardized frameworks. But a moment here, a moment to kind of tune in with yourself. What might be some of your nervous system responses? Do you tend to run away physically, mentally? You tend to get overtaken, when you're trying to be in a certain situation. I it's a fun one to talk about because there's irony because I now teach yoga. This experience year after year after year where I tried so hard to get myself to do yoga. I tried so hard. I knew there was so much value. I had read, I think you can see them some of here. I'd read so many yoga books because, well, again, because I lived in my head and I was really good at it. And I was really good at taking in information and thinking about things and knowing, wow, yoga would be so good for me. And year after year after year, trying to show up in a yoga practice, my nervous system, because it was so hyperactive, I would show up on the yoga mat and try to slow down and move and breathe, movement in sync with my breath as I'm tuning into my body. My nervous system was having none of that. I I maybe spent an hour across like 4 to 5 years of me trying to do yoga because every time I did, my nervous system was like, "No, that's not aligned." Would take me anywhere but a space where I could slow down, be fully present as I slowly move with my body, which is fun because now I teach that practice, but I teach that practice knowing that it's not appropriate for everyone. In what we'll call part 1, I talk about what did work for me. What did work for me, which was trail running. Trail running was a space where I could really be in tune with my nervous system because it aligned. It was in alignment. And sending you over to that video to hear that story and not getting swept back into that conversation, but bringing it here once again, highlighting the importance of we have to be in tune with our own nervous systems. Because when we live in a world where there's endless chatter out there about practices that are helpful, practices that are harmful, things we should be doing, things we shouldn't be doing. And among that, when we have, again, news outlets and social media always trying to hijack our attention, and there's all these things going on, can we be in practice? Can we be in practice of tuning in? Is this experience that you're in right now truly supportive? Is it truly supportive? If not, get the hell out of here. Go do something that's more supportive. If being out in nature or running or being quiet in a meditation is more supportive right now, go do that. Being able to step into a practice, having a teacher, a trusted teacher come in and be like, I know this practice is so supportive because I've taught it to thousands of people and so many people tell me how great it is. Trying it out and having a negative response, being able to be like, nope, that's not for me. At least not right now. My nervous system isn't having it. Having that type of discernment only happens as we get out of our heads and drop in and feel, be in tune with these sensations in our body, our feelings, our physical sensations, the electrical currents, the vibrations, the temperature, all of it. All of it, welcoming all of it, because all of it is such important information. Information that when it's available to us, we can make the best decisions possible as we move through life. A lot more words there. So a moment to once again settle in, to let them land. To let go of anything from all that chatter that serves, that you want to hold on to, letting go of the rest. Just a little shaking out of your body if that's helpful. As we close here once more, bringing in some opportunities to join me in deeper embodiment practice, be it the online yoga membership or the We Are the Forest membership. Those are two different spaces. You save by doing them both together. I've made both. What I think is super affordable. Just want you to show up in these spaces so that we can be together in practice, in spaces that are me doing far less chatter and you doing much more embodied practice. And if you'd like some direct support from me, some one-on-one support, reach out to me, katie@upwardslopes.com, and I can be in a position to help support you more directly, help, as we talk about how each of us are different, each of our nervous systems are a little different, being in a space where I can help really directly guide you to practices that can best support your nervous system, support your healing, support your ability to show up in the world, to do the things that you want to do. I'm going to leave us there for today. Thank you so much for listening in. If you have not yet, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps to support this community and help this channel flourish. So thank you so much, and I look forward to catching you in whatever the next spaces that we find ourselves in.